Welcome to the WuBlockchain podcast. For the latest blockchain and crypto insights, please subscribe to WuBlockchain on YouTube and follow us on Twitter. Stay informed and join the conversation. Today, we are honored to have Andrea with us. Andrea is the founder and CEO of Access Protocol. So welcome, Andrea.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So please briefly introduce yourself and the Access Protocol to our audience.
Yeah, so I'm Andreas. I've been in crypto since 2017. My first full-time role was at a company called The Block as the first revenue and operations hire. Early 2021, we started working on an idea, myself and Mika, on an idea called Access, and kind of quit and moved full-time to build out Access Protocol, which is a general purpose protocol that enables monetization for creators and service providers via staking. So the way that it works is someone has a product or service they want to offer to consumers. They create a content pool. And what users do is stake our native ACS token in that pool. And in return, they receive whatever product or service that creator is offering. It could be data services, it could be a newsletter, NFTs, whatever have you. But also what happens is both the creator and the user receive a split of the protocol inflation reward. So it's a way to basically align incentives with consumers and the creators that they support and create a dynamic where users are incentivized to consume and engage with products and services on the internet and feel like they are over time gaining the ability to consume even more as time passes.
So I think a lot of people are talk about the Solana's latest technology, Spring, Blinks, and Actions. So it's currently actually very popular. Some believe that this could drive Solana SoFi wave. So I want to know what is your perspective on this narrative? What impact do you think it will have?
Yeah, I think the impact of actions and blinks can't be understated. It's a massive improvement to what is already available, and every existing application on Solana improved significantly with the introduction of actions and blinks. First, though, it's important to distinguish what actions and blinks are. So actions are just very simple APIs that deliver signable transactions. So that could be a governance vote, yes or no. It could be buy this NFT, could be buy this subscription. So a very simple one-dimensional transaction. What blinks are clients that read actions and construct them into an interface that let you engage with that transaction specifically. So you cannot have blinks without actions. So actions really simplify the transaction experience. They lower the barrier to entry for engagement across the space. And blinks increase the surface area in which you can engage with the transaction. So they make the transactions available to a far wider audience. They are really only 3 weeks old, but they're massive in terms of lowering the barriers to entry, as I mentioned, and meeting existing users, and existing is an important word here, meeting existing users where they're already consuming information. So it's a great way to go direct to consumer and drive commerce and engagement where they're spending a significant amount of time in their day, which is right now on X, but in the future will be on other websites and applications for sure.
Yeah, because you just mentioned that Blinks allows users actually to perform actions like swap and voting just with a single click through the browser login. It's simple as that. So I think a lot of people will say that this is the advantage of obviously is gaining the Web2 traffic. But the downside could be the trust frictions between Web2 and Web3. So this issue is also about compatible and the cooperation. What do you think? What's your view on this problem? I won't say problem.
Ye-
I won't say this kind of criticize?
Challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah. I would say that right now, actions and blinks actually do not deliver value to Web2 users because in the moment right now, you need a Phantom wallet or Backpack or Soulflare to engage with them. So, really, what actions and blinks have done just now is massively improve and simplify the transaction and engagement experience for existing users. So, right now, like to be able to deliver the best possible experience to new users, we need to simplify what is or what existing users are already doing on chain. So this is a massive improvement for anyone that is already trading crypto, buying NFTs, engaging in crypto commerce. The next step here is how do you actually create that value for Web2 users? And we're going to see a lot more coming out in the coming weeks and months in terms of companies that are enabling and creating experiences for Web2 users to engage in this simplified manner. So, again, to just reiterate, Blinks and Actions have massively improved the experience for existing users. They have yet to impact new users,
Mhm.
but in order to get to these new users, we still need to really roll things back and simplify the way that we're interacting on chain.
So, because I used to work in Web2. So I think if we need to attract Web2 users, you need do a lot of like marketing strategies. So because they are you don't have to you have to find a way to not to explain to them what is crypto. So what do your team have your team consider any like marketing strategies or how to reach out that market, the Web2 users?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even like rolling it back aside from marketing is just delivering an experience that is much better than an experience that they as consumers are already used to. So consumers aren't going to use crypto rails for something that already exists in Web 2 unless it is a faster, cheaper, more convenient option for users that actually motivates them to engage with us. So that comes down to, like I said, just interacting on cheap and fast rails, giving them experiences or benefits that they would not be able to receive in Web 2. So really from like the access side, we really take the approach of kind of taking subscriptions and flipping them on their head. So the value prop of access is you're able to receive a subscription or a service without actually spending your money. You can stake your money, earn rewards on it, own that money, and if you ever want to cancel, withdraw that money and use it for another purpose. So it's really important if we want to get to these Web2 users that every company identifies what their value proposition is relative to the Web2 experience. So naturally, like if you think about stablecoins, for example, that is an experience that is massively better than Web2 Rails. They settle nearly instantly. They operate 24/7. They're trustless. That is much better than the banking system. So that is a perfect example of something that delivers a much better value proposition to Web2 users. And as you mentioned, the marketing part, I believe, is the second part of that. Is how do you actually demonstrate and show that value to these users in a way that they understand and don't need to spend time researching and thinking about. So I'd say those are the efforts that people really need to make to actually engage and onboard these Web2 users. And eventually, these blinks and actions are going to provide this experience for them where they have an aha moment and they say, wow, that was the most simple way that I've ever engaged in commerce, for example.
Yeah. So I want to like take WuBlockchain for example, because I believe that not all our audience are like very crypto native. Some of them are maybe new to the idea. So what if WuBlockchain want to use Blinks to like have more followers? So what should we do? How should we use this function?
Yeah, 100%. So WuBlockchain actually has a pool on Access Protocol, and there's a few things that we've done to simplify the engagement to subscribe. So the way that Access Protocol works without Blinks is you take our native ACS token, you need a Web3 wallet, you need Solana in that wallet in order to pay for the transaction fees. You then find your pool on our Access website, stake in that pool, and you receive that subscription. That is far too complicated to consider onboarding someone from a Web2 user or even maybe just a basic first time crypto user.
Yeah.
So, what we've done is really scaled back the way that you're able to engage with WuBlockchain and really simplified it into a format where you spend Solana to get an access subscription. And the way that that works is effectively the Blinks will unfurl your Solana or your actions link on Twitter. They will see the ability to buy it, say it's 0.01 Sol. They make a transaction. They click execute in one click. They receive that. On chain, what happens is they're receiving a NFT that has ACS staked within it. And that NFT is transferred into their wallet and they're able to engage with your subscriptions and claim rewards associated with it. So we've really abstracted away the element of actually needing ACS and moving towards the asset that everyone is required to use to transact on Solana, and that's Sol.
That sounds amazing. I mean, you should see our allocations on Twitter. That the value distribution of our Twitter account pathetic. I'm just say that. So yeah. So my next question is some say that Solana's Blinks is limited, like parasitic on other platforms. So what might the ultimate form of Blinks looks like in the future?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I read a lot about people saying that, and it's super interesting to just hear. Some of the arguments kind of say that, it's not exciting because it doesn't onboard new users. And I
Yeah.
kind of touched on that earlier. And eventually, those new users will be onboarded, and there will be this format in which they can engage and interact. But as I mentioned earlier, the whole idea is simplifying the existing way that we're transacting. So in reality, people aren't going to be using Blinks to load up a 20x so long in size. They're going to go to their preferred application for that. And that isn't what the average, internet user does. But it does help simplify and drive commerce for more basic transactions. And that's what future crypto users will do. Say, buy an NFT, buy a meme coin.
Mm.
But right now, people are also saying it's very focused on X. And I think that people aren't really seeing the big picture here. You have the technology of both actions and Blinks. And there is a massive incentive and opportunity for websites and companies to drive commerce on their sites and engage with people directly as opposed to sending them to other venues to transact. So if you think about like the bigger picture, a site that maybe a lot of people are familiar with is CoinGecko. It's a homepage of crypto. I'd say 50 million monthly active users go there. How could they engage and activate on Blinks is, for example, they have an index of every single token that really is like out there. They could engage actions and Blinks directly on the price pages and drive commerce directly on their site and layer in a small fee. There are no credit card fees associated with transacting on actions and Blinks. So they could activate a small 50 bips fee if the average user activates, say $10 of transactions on their site, multiplied by 50 million users, that's $500 million in volume. So that's a $2.5 million revenue opportunity for a simple integration that takes a few days. So the real opportunity here is companies, websites, and platforms that have distribution and can drive activity directly on their site and drive commerce. That's the biggest opportunity. And I know I mentioned crypto slate, or sorry, CoinGecko, but then think about the opportunities beyond CoinGecko. Think about X. And I know that it's already kind of activated on X, but them actually having it natively integrated on X as opposed to driving the activation through third party browser or web wallets. Think about Reddit driving commerce directly on there. So the idea that there are no middlemen, there are no fees associated with driving this commerce makes this a really appetizing opportunity in the long run. And what we're doing at Access now is actually creating a custom built actions and blinks flow for all of our integration partners. So we work not only with WuBlockchain, but the Block, Crypto Slate, Block Media in Korea, Block Tempo in Taiwan. So we're leveraging these simplified transaction flows to engage commerce directly on these partners' site and enable them to drive subscription sales directly denominated in Solana. So now we have these media sites that are going to have actions enabled directly on their web pages. And over time, I do believe that more and more sites and companies are going to start engaging and enabling this on their sites because it is most truly the most simplified and fastest way to engage users directly on your own platform.
Yes, absolutely. So talk about the partners. Access Protocol is one of the first partners to collaborate with Phantom and Backpack. You just mentioned them. So how can Access Protocol be integrated with Blinks? Did you like?
Yeah. So we're slowly engaging Blinks directly for all of our creators. We have nearly 180 creators on our platform now. And there's really two ways that people can engage with these users via, or these creators via Access. So for an independent creator, we enable the Blinks to engage people directly on Twitter. So just a simple sharing your subscription link and being able to drive commerce directly where your audience is. And that's actually super powerful for the independent person who is promoting their work day in and day out to an audience that is probably crypto native. The previous format in line of kind of commerce that is required of them is sharing a link, that user needing a native asset to engage with them, whether it be on Access or just NFT sales or even credit card sales. So think about someone offering Substack. They need to click that Substack link, get out their credit card, subscribe directly to Substack. It's a longer process than the fact that now these creators can just share their link directly on Twitter and drive commerce directly where their audience is. So that's super important for the independent creators. And I kind of alluded to it earlier for our larger partners, is integrating actions directly on these partner sites, enabling one-click checkout commerce to engage their audiences and provide a better transaction experience is massive improvements to what the current format is. So a one-click simplified button will simplify that transaction and checkout process and create a flow that actually gets consumers to convert directly on site. It is much more difficult to get people to convert within other, site funnels for subscriptions. So that process is something that we're going to slowly roll out and build upon from there. So you can think that right now it only is engaging with people that have their Web3 wallets enabled, but how do we actually convert users to actually make purchases from, not having a Web3 wallet? So there's a company called TipLink that's offering, in my opinion, the best social wallet creation flow in crypto. So integrating them with fiat on-ramps to then drive that one-click credit card purchase commerce bundled in with these actions is effectively what the end game looks like for Blinks and Access on our partner websites like the Block, Crypto Slate, Block Tempo, and Block Media.
So you guys already work together or or in the future or next move, the social wallets?
Yes. So TipLink, we do work together with TipLink, and I believe they are working on a rollout for Blink specifically. So that's going to be a massive game changer just in terms of, again, increasing the surface area and enabling more people to at least see and experience what blinks are. Then the magic part comes in terms of like the fiat on ramp side. So now that they have a new wallet, how do you actually onboard them into crypto and actually get funds directly on their wallet or enable them to buy an NFT? So that's the next step. And once we get there, I think we'll actually see truly an experience that is superior to the standard kind of Web2 transaction or commerce flow.
Okay, well, I think that is gonna be like you have to come back and do another episode with us for your
Absolutely.
updates. So, what are sure with are some interesting user cases for Blinks? So, how can creators profit through Blinks? I think that is a lot of people who concern about their profits. How can
Yeah, 100%. So I can touch on the access side, and then I can share some of like the more exciting platforms that I've seen that are leveraging them as well. So on the access side, I've kind of covered creators just have more flexibility and capability to distribute subscriptions to their audience. They get revenue daily from the total ACS that's staked in their pool. So just a much easier way to drive commerce for them. We've seen a lot of exciting implementations of Blinks as well. There's a whiskey company on Solana called Baxis. They did a sale of a $200 bottle of Lehman Brothers themed whiskey. And
rather
if you
thin?
check,
They
yes,
rather thin. That's
yep,
actually a thing. God,
it's really
what's
funny.
that? What's that?
But
Who want that?
what was that?
I think who will want that bankruptcy bank?
So that's what's very funny is who would want that? And I think that if you take a look, I'll share the tweet with you afterwards, and you can share it with the audience. They
Yes.
basically drove sales directly on Twitter and posted the link on Twitter, and their impressions on that one whiskey link are over 500,000 impressions. And I don't have the exact numbers on the actual commerce driven by this link. But if you take a look at the comments, there are countless numbers of people that have saying, just purchase, just purchase. I purchased one myself. It was a simple one click. And it was just an amazing way to watch how you can drive commerce directly to your audience with something that maybe you wouldn't typically buy or think of buying. So it really does give and empower creators of all shapes and sizes to engage directly on Twitter
Yeah.
and find unique ways to increase revenues. So naturally, the next flow there is like art. NFTs, for example, a very simple way to find people and create an action. I don't know how many times, and if you've been in the space long enough, you'll probably have experienced this. But for myself, I don't know how many times I've seen a link to an NFT that I should probably buy. I say to myself, all right, I'm going to buy that very quickly after I get done with a few things. I go to revisit the link, it's sold out, it's gone. Or I just lose the link, miss out on the opportunity. This enables you to very quickly engage with that and take actions, no pun intended, as quickly as possible.
Okay, I think that is very interesting. I think that in my imagine your best user case scenario is gonna be culture like related. I think
A 100%.
that's gonna be really interesting. And maybe
Yeah.
I'll buy some.
I
So
think an interesting one that I'll just add on top of that is just kind of concentrated engagement and think about, for example, the Constitution DAO back in 2018,
mhm.
2019, or maybe it was 21. Time is flying by. Um, Everyone was trying to allocate a bunch of funds to buy the US Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they raised like $45 million, something along that, all via people donating directly on this site. And they ended up getting outbid by Ken Griffin by, not that large of a number, maybe 10%. My argument is that via blinks and actions, if this had happened today,
Yeah.
the social coordination would be much easier, much better, and they would have raised more money to coordinate with each other and actually acquire that constitution. So it's a very funny story. If you're not familiar with it, read up about it. But social coordination is one that I also think is going to be very exciting.
Yes, yes, me too. I think that is the interesting that is actually the interesting part of crypto. I mean, what's the point? I don't
100%.
personally I hate well, I cannot say that, but off the records, I don't like DeFi finance like projects.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean,
So,
you want wide distribution and community engagement and large scale coordination, in my opinion. That's what's super exciting and something that you can't imagine actually happening, anywhere else. So I feel you there.
yeah. So, well, our last questions for today's podcast is what are the latest developments in Access Protocol and how does it continue to empower your creator economy? Is there any token like
Yeah,
market cap management plan?
yeah, 100%. So I think one of our biggest initiatives is engaging more creators and consumers within the APAC region. So we are naturalizing our site to engage more people that can subscribe, create, and monetize directly on Access. We are remodeling our content hub to make it more of an Apple News meets Shopify, where you can manage, subscribe, claim rewards, and discover a wide variety of content across our 180 plus creators. The largest kind of segment within that is our NFT minting. So we enable creators to mint compressed NFTs to all of their subscribers. It doesn't matter if you are a writer or an artist. This is a fun way to engage with people directly on chain. So do keep an eye out directly on our platform for a load of different artists that are delivering value. And we also have a bunch of exciting researchers that are delivering alpha and news directly on our platform as well. So the thing that we're really focused on now is our APAC kind of focus on expansion there. So if you are listening, check out our site. In a few days, we will have it naturalized for a bunch of different languages. And you'll be able to stake and claim rewards across all of our creators. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is provide this new experience for anyone to be able to subscribe and feel like they maintain ownership and power with their purchasing ability. To date, we have over 270,000 subscribers on the platform. So that's a pretty large number, and we really hope to build that up and get up to the million mark. We have a lot of work to get there, but we are on pace and slowly growing. So super exciting there. And we've enabled roughly $4 million in subscriptions. And that's all staked in active subscriptions as we speak. So really looking to kind of, as I mentioned earlier, reinvent the way that people are engaging with creators and having that aligned experience where consumers feel like they're winning as well.
Yeah, and thank you so much for today's podcast. Actually, I think earlier, like half an hour ago, is the Ethereum ETF launch, the first trade.
Yes,
So yeah, I know. So we are still cheating on podcast. So thank you for your
I
time.
know.
Yeah, I know. So a lot of people talk about it. So I don't know about whatever. That's not important. So the important
Well,
is, guys, if you are interested in Access Protocol, please check it on and support the ecosystem.
well, thank you so much. Hope to see you all, and please reach out to us on X or Twitter or email. So at Access Protocol.
Yes, yes. So thank you, Andrea, and have a good day. And we'll
Thank
see
you
you.
so much.
Yeah, see you around. Bye bye.
Bye bye.